The legacies created by the decline of Western civilization and its sequel, subtitled The Metal Years, are well deserved. In the former, many of the bands became known and respected in the punk scene, while the latter had the fun spirit of rock and metal flowing throughout. Plus, it featured Lemmy Kilmister, Ozzy Osbourne, and Alice Cooper. Need I say more? Each movie represented different scenes and time periods in Los Angeles in broad scopes. Hearts of the viewers and the acclaim of music critics have been won over by these movies for different reasons. So with the times changing, the punk and rock scenes taking different forms, and many of the bands in the first two movies broken up, it was only logical to catch the hardcore punk scene of the 1990s in a third movie. Sort of. The way this starts off is relatively similar to the first movie. A punk is in the recognizable interview room, and then you have the iconic disclaimer to the audience.
Attention! Please be advised!
By your entry into these premises,
You are considered to be photographed and having your likeness used in a motion picture
for pornographic purposes.
Thank you!
There are words from the kids in line as well as from the club owner.
I know a guy that can suck an icy through his nose.
How long you been having punk rock at your theater?
9 years.
You had 9 years of punk rock?
Correct. Since '88. Yeah.
And you survived?
Almost there. Look at the gray hair.
Also, fucking Wilhelm scream. Then you get an inside look at Naked Aggression's apartment where they're interviewed.
What are some of the causes that you've been asked to raise money for?
To help build a rape crisis center.
Women's shelters for abused women, AIDS research.
To give their take on how things have changed for the worse since the first movie, we have appearances from Keith Morris, Flea, and Rick Wilder.
Kids now have even more reasons to be angry and upset. Our society kind of pushes them in that direction.
Something I notice is that the bands here seem to be more politically charged. There are more left-leaning philosophies going on in contrast to the first movie where the bands were just anti-authority.
the right wing is organizing with guns, bombs, and politicians. We have to stop fighting each other and start fighting the real enemy, which is big business and the right wing.
Even Keith Morris went on a rant about the GOP causing the country's problems.
We have the Republicans who keep stressing this family values thing, and those fuckers can more than afford to have, adhere to the family values things because they're out there ripping off the public. They've got the money to spend.
Wow, that got dark quickly. Also, there's a bigger focus on the subjects of police brutality and fights with the skinheads.
What pisses you off the most?
Cops. I hate them.
What do you think about the cops?
They can suck my dick.
What does SHARP stand for?
Skinheads Against Racial Prejudice, which is great, but they're turning into a gang. I hate Nazis.
Performances in the movie are by The Resistance, Litmus Green, Naked Aggression, and Final Conflict. Naked Aggression and The Resistance are the only two of these who are interviewed. I would have enjoyed more stuff with Litmus Green and Final Conflict, just to make it more musical. This could have also illustrated even further how punk evolved into what it became at that point. But for this movie, the musical aspect is mostly gone, and now it's just about punk's followers. Or more specifically, the homeless gutter punks who spend their days squatting, panhandling, and drinking. Bored, forgotten, and with no hope, they roam the streets doing whatever they have to for their next meal.
How do you make your money?
I don't. What money?
Why don't you go get a job?
It's hard to find jobs for people looking like me.
Panhandle, collect bottles.
Sometimes I rob, steal, spare change, whatever.
Photo spanging or doing labor work here and there.
Lots of them come from abusive homes and have been forced onto the street.
So why did you leave home?
Because I was forced out physically by my parents.
Why did you originally leave home when you were 13?
Physical abuse.
I lived with my dad, and he wasn't, he used to beat me and stuff.
Did your dad hit you?
Yeah.
Some even found being homeless better than where they were.
How do you like living on the streets?
It's all right. It's better than the abuse I had in my home.
To pass time, they'll go to shows, drink, and do drugs, simply because it's something to do. Many of these people are kids and teenagers who have been homeless for a long time.
How long you been living out on the street?
Since I was 14. 17.
How old are you?
22.
How long you been on the street?
So I was 13.
At one point in the movie, 5 of the kids rented an apartment for a month so that way everybody could have a place to hang out and stay. Even though they have nothing, they're in some comfort knowing that they're all in the same boat. They have no real family, so their fellow punks are their family.
The whole thing is adopted me. I could go across the state anywhere I want to, and I'm welcome.
These are the kids that I live with. They're my family, they're my support, they're my love, they're everything.
Some of the interview questions were a bit weird coming from a practiced interviewer.
What do you got in your ear? What's that?
Pen tube.
A what? Do your parents like your hairdo? Where's your parents?
Wherever.
You don't know?
Don't know.
You ever talk to them? What do your parents think of your tattoos and piercing? So you don't like those skinheads?
No, sure don't.
You ever fight with them?
Fight a lot with them.
Are they mean?
They're pretty mean, yeah.
A lot of scenes in part 2 were exaggerated to be entertaining, and it seems like there's a lot less of that here. It does sometimes feel like the kids are putting on a show while they're on camera, specifically while they're asking people for money.
Spare quarter for the soda?
Possibly spending change it off folks.
I swear I won't waste it on food.
Even a few pennies, a
You can throw it at me.
Spare a dime, prevent a crime.
You got an extra cigarette? I'll be your best friend. How about an answer? Spare an answer?
Lower the crime rate, spare some change. Next person I jack, maybe someone you know and love.
Even if this is the case, it fortunately doesn't feel as contrived as Paul Stanley casually being surrounded by women in part 2.
Never thought I'd be at Gizmo's mom. So.
Wow, somebody's always cooking breakfast in these movies. What is it with the decline movies and eggs and bacon? I mean, I know it's the most important meal of the day, but everybody must have been really hungry while shooting some of these scenes. Many of the kids squat in abandoned houses for a place to stay. Towards the end, one of them dies in a squat fire. This was shown 5 minutes after the person was introduced, but what's disturbing about it is how miserable everyone else is when it happens.
I can think of a million people that could have gone instead of him, and me being one of them.
How old was he?
He just turned 19.
Why wouldn't Steve wake up?
Steve was too drunk.
He's drunk, he's so drunk.
I just want to go.
That is how close these people are.
Well, what are you going to do in 5 years, man?
I'll be drinking.
Probably the same thing.
You're going to enter the workplace.
Yep. I'm not gonna go look for a job, but if a job finds me, I'll take it.
What are you going to be when you grow up?
A cook?
And the rest of them say they'll be dead.
What are you going to do 5 years from now? What are you going to make out of your life?
I'll probably be dead in 5 years from now.
What are you going to be doing?
I'll be dead in 10 years. I'll be dead in 5.
What are you laughing about, Amanda? What are you going to do in 5 years?
I'll be dead too.
And this is what ends the movie. I find it terrifying that people can just throw their children away so easily. It was important that somebody got this on film so that maybe it could be a wake-up call for people. Then you have a small percentage of poser punks who glamorize homelessness and motivate kids who are perfectly well off to leave home and become drug addicts. The reality is that so many people die from this lifestyle, and it's a slap in the face to people like these who have real problems and were forced into their situation. Worst of all, the movie got a limited theatrical release and had a few screenings, but it never got a home video release until 2015. The distributor Spheres was in contact with didn't want to touch the movie. They were like, oh, it's too depressing, nobody will watch it. Others said, we'll release it, but we want the rights to your first 2 movies. So she said, go fuck yourself, these are my movies. I have to respect her integrity. It wasn't talked about a whole lot, and many people who knew the first 2 didn't even know that this 3rd movie existed. This movie should have been released when it was supposed to. People who pledged their allegiance to the first 2 could have warmed up to it better. It probably wouldn't have had the biggest impact in the world, but it at least would have made people more aware of a very serious problem. For what it shows, the documentary works. The Decline of Western Civilization doesn't have a humorous or sarcastic title anymore. It's a hard watch, but a damn good one. You will be reminded that it is important to stick together, especially in such an uncaring world. Peace.